Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre. For this video, I picked stories from the subreddit Relationship Advice. So let's not waste any time in the introduction and get started with the first story. This one is from user Throwaway Mixed Babies. Me and my girlfriend Naomi are an interracial couple, with her being Korean and me being black. We have dated for just under 5 years now, and for the past few months, I've been planning on proposing. I'm pretty traditional, so I thought it would be a good idea to ask Naomi's dad for his blessing before I proposed. I asked earlier this month. When I arrived at their house, I was greeted by Naomi's mother and father who invited me in. After a little talking, I told them that I was going to propose and wanted their blessing. Her mother was ecstatic, and her father didn't seem displeased, and he told me it was okay for me to propose. We talked more, and the topic of babies was brought up by her mother. I told her that I wanted to have kids with her, and she got even happier. We continued talking, and when I told them I needed to start heading home, her mother said she would send me home with some food and left for the kitchen. Me and her dad have a small language barrier between us that usually is alleviated by either Naomi or her mother, so we kinda just sat there in silence. He then told me this. I'll clean it up, but it was difficult to understand as he isn't great at English. You are a very nice young man and we like you a lot. We'd be happy to have you in our family, but we are not too happy about you and her having dark babies. I was stunned and kinda just awkwardly laughed. We sat there for another 2 minutes before her mom came out with a wrapped plate. When I got home, I said nothing about this to Naomi. I know I need to talk to her about what was said, but I don't want to be the one that accuses her family of being racists. And I know this is probably irrational, but the way her father said it put the thought in my head that Naomi may not want kids because of how dark I am. How do I approach her about this in the least accusatory way as possible? Oof, this sounds like a very complicated situation. But before you go ahead and make any judgment or any comments, I want to ask you to let me read the update so that you guys get the full picture. So let's continue with that. Yesterday afternoon, I sat Naomi down and had a conversation with her about what her dad said to me. I tried to leave out any mention of proposal and told her I was in the neighborhood and decided to pop by. Terrible lie, I know, but she bought it. I told her what her dad said about us having dark babies and asked if she had any similar feelings about our kids popping out half black. She looked at me like I was out of my mind. She told me she didn't give a F about the color of her kids as long as I was the dad, which was reassuring. She was not happy with her dad. She wanted us to take a drive over there and talk with her parents about it. That evening, we dropped by unannounced, and when her mom opened the door to see us, she immediately asked Naomi to show her the ring. Naomi was confused, and I about S-ed myself. I, like an idiot, didn't call ahead to her parents that I hadn't proposed. I guess her mom thought we were going to surprise her with the engagement and assumed I had already proposed. I was speechless. They began speaking in Korean, but from context, I assume her mom was asking if I was too cheap to buy her an engagement ring, and Naomi looked at me and started hugging and kissing me. My secret was out, and I told her I had already asked her parents for their blessing. She was a few seconds from crying, but sucked it up so we could speak to her dad. Like I said in my original post, my future father-in-law isn't great at English, so he and Naomi spoke in Korean. According to Naomi, she asked him why he told me that, and he said that he was worried about their extended family not viewing our babies as Korean and being rude to them or me for being black. I guess this did not come across well in English because he was just concerned for me and our kids. He didn't care that our babies would have dark skin. This was a huge relief. Her father isn't the racist, their extended families are, but like, F them, who cares what they think? I am just so glad that our future kids are going to have grandparents that are going to love them. Only downside is now Naomi is expecting my proposal, so I really gotta knock her socks off. I agree with you, man. F them, who cares what they think? They're kids, they're babies, they're gonna be family anyway, so race doesn't really matter at all. It never has. And that's my personal opinion. In my case, for example, I come from Chile, and that's in Latin America. My wife is from Germany, of course, that's Europe. And my kids are awesome. And I think you're focusing on the right thing. The important thing is that your kids are going to have grandparents that are going to love them. So I hope your proposal goes amazing and that you have an awesome life with your wife and your future kids. And on that note, let's move on to the next story. Now, one short disclaimer about the next story. We have a crossover here. This is a story that started in the subreddit Am I the A-hole? And then some crazy twist happened and ended up in relationship advice. Now let's get started with the first part of the story. This post is from user confused name AITA. Both me and my roomie are 24-year-old females. So, my friend and roommate, Japanese American, important later, were scrolling Am I the A-hole for our weekly fix. We were getting to the dregs and found the post about the NB friend who wanted to change their name to a Japanese name. I was interested in it since I was named a technically Japanese name by my parents at birth, Rin, even though my mother is black and my father is white. They say they just loved the name, and it, combined with my middle and last names, makes my name have what I think is a pretty cool meaning in full. I showed the post to my friend and made a joke of, "Thank God my name isn't what it is because I was a weeaboo way back when, eh?" Now, my friend has never mentioned anything about my name before, other than being obviously surprised when she met me, a black woman that had the name Rin. But when I said that, she turned to me and said, "Haha, no way, your name is totally cringe as this. I never bring it up, but your name is appropriating everything and isn't okay just because your parents gave it to you at birth or whatever. You really should change it. It's like gross." She then went on to tell me how it's borderline racist that I have chosen to keep this Asian name your whole life, knowing you're not Asian in any way, shape, or form. I am horrified. I didn't choose my name. In fact, I truly do love my name. It's who I am. Even ignoring that, I, 1, don't have the money to change my name, and 2, I'm 24 currently and have my entire life under this name. In order to change it, I would need to change all my college and work records and jump through a ton of hoops. Frankly, I don't want to. My parents weren't looking for a specifically Asian name when they named me, according to them. They said they actually originally were gonna name me Rin, which is the Welsh version that's pronounced the same way. But when people started talking about baby Ryan and Ryan because they couldn't understand how to pronounce Rin, they decided to change it to Rin because no one messed up saying that name. Then they learned the meaning of the new spelling, and that gave them an idea for giving me a name that sounded really pretty. So I know there was no malice on their part whatsoever. She insists that Reddit and any other Asian, if we had more Asian friends, I'd ask them, but we live in a rural town where we basically make up the entire minority population, will agree with her that my name is a disgusting, culturally appropriating name that I need to change or I'm just as bad as that weeb in that post. I won't change my name, I'll tell you that already, and I don't think I'm an a-hole. But I also honestly don't know S about Asian cultures. I was never into anime, so I don't even know the basics from that. So I could be wrong. So tell me, Reddit, am I the a-hole and apparently racist for not changing my name to something more racially appropriate? And on that note, am I a racist towards Asians now by default for refusing to change my name? So my opinion on this is that having that name does not make you a racist, and knowing that it's an Asian name and not wanting to change it also doesn't make you a racist. Just touching on the name, I'll give you an example from my country. Like many other Latin American countries, Chile is a mix of everything that was there and that got there later, but the majority of names are Spanish descent. However, this doesn't stop people from naming their children whatever they want. So you would get people that are called something like Jonathan Fernandez or Kimberly Soto. and nobody bats an eye. At the same time, you would have people that have English last names, so you would get something like Jose Antonio Smith or Fernando Johnson and stuff like that, and again, nobody even cares. So for me, having grown up in that environment, really, if you have a different name that has nothing to do with your ethnic roots or whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Alright, and now let's move on with the relationship advice part. So now that you're caught up on that, it's what happened after that I really need help with. It was all an effing prank. I took the advice I had received and the day after my post tried speaking with her about why she was acting like this. I tried coming to her with the idea of, I'm sorry this is hurting you, is there anything I can do to help you with whatever you're feeling? And she was still angry and accusatory. Honestly, she was beginning to remind me of a Disney villain in how she was acting, and I was starting to feel insane. I gave her an entire day to just cool off, do whatever she wanted, and be away from me since I was the problem as far as I could tell. She made some weird comments to me through the day, like she was wondering if I had updated and was still on Reddit. I was not. I told her I wasn't interacting with the post anymore and didn't honestly plan on posting an update since this wasn't something I wanted all over the internet, as clearly this is something very important that we need to work out in order to keep our friendship intact, and I would prefer to keep dirty laundry like that away from the internet. She seemed upset? But I assumed it was just because of everything going on still and that she was just still mad at me because of my name in the fight. So on the next day, after barely sleeping and working myself into basically a fit trying to figure out what was going on, I basically cornered her that afternoon when she was eating lunch and confronted her about being unfair and attacking me for something I couldn't control, as I did not name myself. I won't lie and say I was composed. I was crying by the end and practically begging her to tell me what I had done wrong and what I could do to fix this so I didn't lose someone I considered one of my best friends. I guess seeing me bawling my eyes out finally made her realize she'd taken it too far or something, and she told me what was going on. It was a prank. She was never upset with me about my name at all. She did this because apparently she had been wanting to try and post a fake Am I the A-hole post for a while. However, she didn't think she was a good enough writer, so she thought if she manufactured something so bonkers like this situation and then suggested I post it, it would be her way of trolling everyone with a fake post. Because it wouldn't be found as fake because the person posting it would think it was real. That's the problem though. To me, this was real. For 4 days, I thought my friend hated me for something beyond my control. For 4 days, she insulted me, called me racist, a B, and other things I don't want to repeat, just because she wanted me to keep feeding the Am I the A-hole scavengers in my desperation to try and fix the situation. Thank God I didn't keep updating that post and commenting on it, since that might have made her drag this out even longer from what I can tell. I didn't say anything to her. I wish I could say I laid the law of the land down on her and walked out in a blaze of glory, but I didn't. I started crying so much I could barely speak, and I left without saying a word. I couldn't think of anything to say that wasn't screaming insults and asking her to never be in my life again. I said nothing. I think something in me just broke. I'm staying with my parents for the foreseeable future. I'm not renewing the lease. I'm paying the last month, August, and letting the lease end. I won't live with her again. She's been blowing up my phone with apologies and saying she realized she took it too far, but that doesn't change how hurt and betrayed I feel. I don't think she can fix this. My parents think I should cut her off and would be better off without her, but we have been friends for 4 years, so I'm reluctant to cut off someone who was a good friend up until 5 days ago when we found that damned post. But therein lies my question. What should I do? Do you think there is a way for us to fix this? Would you even try and fix this if a friend did this to you? I feel so confused and hurt and just broken. My parents are angry and overprotective, and I don't really want to go to my other friends about this and cause more problems. So I really need some outside perspectives. Thanks. Well, OP, in my opinion, if someone does that to you for fake internet points or Reddit gold or whatever, then they're really not your friend. To me, the most precious thing you can have from someone is their trust. And that is in any relationship. Romantic, friendship, family, work. Trust is key. Broken trust is the hardest thing to mend in this world, and sometimes it's impossible. So I think the question you need to ask yourself is, would you do this to a friend for internet points or for whatever other reason? And the other question is, do you think you can look at your friend and feel exactly the same way before your trust was broken? If the answer to any of those questions is no, then you let her go and cut your losses. She's not your friend. Hopefully, the silver lining is that she's learned a lesson and that she will never do something like this to another person again. What do you guys think? Alright, and we've reached the end of the video. If you guys liked it, go ahead and click like. If you did like it and you still haven't subscribed, don't be shy and join us. And of course, don't forget to check out the Lost Genre subreddit, where you can cross-post stories from other subs for me to read and feature in videos. Or, if you feel comfortable enough, share your own story for me to use it. And having said all that, I will see you guys on the next video.